So what have you been noticing since our last time together? Because I know we had a lot of stuff that came through last session.
Yeah. I feel like this week honestly has been like a bit it's been like a bit easier this past
Cool.
week. So, yeah, I'm just like feeling um yeah, I guess I've just been like feeling better about things in general and it came up in conversation over the weekend with Eduardo about like the dynamics of our relationship and I did communicate to him that I feel like there's always this pressure on me to, like, fulfill everybody's needs, and I'm really, like, trying to focus on, like, just, like, being, and that me being is good enough, and I don't always have to be filling everyone's needs because his are more, like, emotional needs, like, he just, um I guess just, like, feeling more comfortable with that idea and, like, that's okay. Having, like, lived a life for a
Yeah.
long time where my focus has been on, like, what I can do for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, so this week, I felt like I was good about it. I mean, that's not to say that next week it's gonna be good, but this week, I actually felt pretty good about it. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you notice in vocalizing that, expressing that to Eduardo? Like just focused on being rather than doing something to fill others' needs.
I mean, it felt good, and it felt I guess, felt like a little bit more of a way to, like, solidify that, like, truth in myself because it's, like, easy to have those thoughts
Yeah.
and not always, like, easy to communicate
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, it's really huge that you communicated it to somebody outside of, like, our work together, because that's what we're working on, and I get it, whereas other people may not. So, like, you being able to communicate that and say, "This is where I'm focused."
Mhm.
Did you notice how what his response was, or how that showed up as you were expressing that?
Let me think, what was his response? He acknowledged what I said, and he does listen, and he acknowledged what I said, but I don't think that, like, he definitely, like, understood it, to the depth that I meant it. Like, "Oh, I know, of course, like, I don't yeah, I just, like, being with you is, like, enough," like
Right.
but yeah.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Even if it's just like he acknowledged it and that's maybe as far as it went, and maybe he fully didn't understand the depth of it, that's okay.
Mhm.
It's about you. You expressing it and you felt good and it solidified like being is enough. I don't need to do it.
Mhm. Mhm. And I think that in all fairness, it's because it was the first time I've said it to him, and it's, like,
Yeah.
a new like, concept, I guess, for me to bring up, like, like, the context of our dynamic, and so,
Yeah.
of course, I think he was like, "Yeah, no, I mean, I totally get that," but needing, like, more time to, like, think about it and process and, like, what does that mean, because I think
Yeah.
especially, like, in a partner, I feel like it's important to just be able to just, like, be together even if you're quiet, like, just being together and, like, just being, and, like, that's
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, I mean, I feel like he received it well, and I'm
Cool.
sure it'll come up again.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then I wanted to see how it's been going because last time you commented on how it feels like time's expanded and you have more time to like do stuff for you and you're doing more things for you.
Mhm.
Have you noticed, has that been continuing?
It's yeah, totally. And, like, even today, um, I I mean, I went to the gym, but and usually I like walk the track there, but it's wasn't raining earlier, so I was like, okay, I'm actually gonna go to Independence Grove and walk there. And I
Mhm.
have like moments of guilt of feeling like, oh, that's if I do it at the gym, it's like more time efficient because I'm already there and I'm like cutting out the travel time and stuff. But um yeah, I did go and I feel like I did it with less guilt.
Ooh,
Yeah.
soft
So I
skill.
mean that like yeah, that and I guess, like, the main things that I've been incorporating more into, like, my time each day is, like, reading and, like,
Mhm.
yeah, just more I guess reading and, like, yeah, I mean, going for a walk and, like, stuff like that where,
Cool.
um, maybe I wasn't always, like, allowing time for that, so I
Yeah.
but again, I'm like, "Okay, it was a good week," and I don't wanna be, like, negative, but I'm like, "Okay, it was good," but I wanna be, like, prepared because I know it's, like,
Ooh.
there are like peaks and valleys, things will get harder, things will be easier.
Yeah. So I heard you say, like, but you wanna be prepared.
Mhm.
So how has that worked for you in the past? By being prepared for if a valley were to come?
I guess it's all I've known, so I don't know. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just the way that I've been. So does it like work? Could something else work better? Maybe, but I've just that's just how I've operated.
Okay. Well, would you be willing to just stay curious rather than trying to be prepared for a valley that might or might not come?
Mhm.
Just be more curious as to, I wonder what magic you might have for me today. I wonder what you might show me today.
Mhm.
Because when I hear you say being prepared, I get the sense of, and if this doesn't resonate, correct me, of like kind of being ready and on guard, like, okay, I'm ready. Let's go.
I would say that's accurate. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I have felt really good and
Yeah.
but I guess I just know from, like, the pattern of my life that that's not, like, sustainable, like,
Mm,
that's not gonna and I just don't wanna like, I know it could be like, "Oh, that's, like, a negative way to think," and then I always think in my mind, like, "Oh, I'm just, like, a realist." Like, I'm just, like, realistic that that's not things every week isn't gonna be equally as easy.
no, I would agree. And what if you just keep asking to show me more ease? Because even on the hard weeks, show me more ease. Like you're just looking for, even when it is, because just like nature, there's storms outside some days it's sunny and great. It's the same thing for us. But if you're feeling really good and then there's almost like this anticipatory, I've got to be prepared for when the valley comes, you're still in a sense not allowing all the good in. Does that
Mhm.
make sense? Like you're allowing
Mhm.
just about enough and staying on guard.
Mhm. Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
and it's not about denying that that might happen. It's just saying, I'm going to be here. And if that happens, I'll be there and I'm going to stay connected because I can't control all of that.
Mhm.
But I'm not going to live my life in anticipation that that might come at some point.
Mhm. That's good, yeah.
Yeah. What is that, as you hear me say that, what does that bring up for you?
I guess I like that viewpoint more because it's
Okay.
recognizing that there will be hard times, but I don't need to like sit in preparation for them because who knows when they'll come. But also that I have tools to navigate
Hmm.
those in a hopefully more like, yeah, a healthier way where it's like less damaging.
Yeah. And we don't know. But like I'll give you an example. Even just yesterday, because I'm, finishing up this house sitting job and just thinking about where I'm going, I blocked some of the good because I stayed connected to myself and then I went and moved the energy because I was like, oh, I'm sitting in it. I'm sitting in. the fact that this is my last day here and this is my last, after having a month of silence and solitude, this is it. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to really savor it. So I sat there for a few minutes and then I'm like, okay. And then I went for a walk. I took a nice 2 hour walk around, not around, for part of Lake Geneva. You can't go around the whole thing unless you got a whole day.
Mm.
So I enjoyed it and I savored it rather than being like, oh, and being prepared for what was coming today.
Mhm.
But it allowed me to have some of the joy that was there rather than being like, well, it's coming, so I'm just gonna get stuck in that.
Mhm. No, that's totally a good point. That's so funny that okay, so is that have you been in Lake Geneva? Because I was in Lake
Yeah.
Geneva over the weekend.
Oh, were you? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I've been.
Okay, yeah, I love Lake Geneva. I know I
Me.
was curious how long it would take to walk around the entire is it possible to go like if you start, like at the main like the Riviera walk or whatever, is it possible to go around the whole thing?
Yes, if you have a whole entire day, and it better be a day where the sun is up longer because you need like a full, I want to say like 16 hours, something.
Okay. Okay.
It is possible. I've had friends did do it, but they have walked and run parts of it.
Okay.
So it is possible. And
Mm.
have a full day set aside.
Okay, yeah. No, I was thinking like, yeah, if you wanted to do that, you'd have to really probably start, yeah, like 6 a.m.
Yeah,
and get
and be
going.
going. I think have
Yeah.
a good pace going. Like you can't
Mhm.
really stop and smell the roses too much. You got to keep going.
Mhm. 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 Okay.
And what I heard you say that you allowed is you, instead of staying indoors at the track, you went and walked Independence Grove with less guilt. So that's
Mhm.
really huge. And you still notice there are moments of guilt. So what in those moments of guilt, what did you notice in you, if anything? Maybe nothing.
I didn't notice anything, and it was so brief.
Okay, cool.
I guess I just, like, had, like, a split second thought of, like, "Oh, is that the most efficient way to use your time?" And then I was like, "No, there's nothing wrong with me going and doing my walk outside and enjoying, like, the more mild temperatures and, like, looking at the
Yeah.
water and trees and stuff."
Yeah. Well, what I'm hearing you say is you almost had a conversation with your brain
Mhm.
when the story of I should this isn't as efficient and blah blah blah, all that went on, and you're like, no, this is actually okay because it's actually nurturing me and it's honoring me because I get to take in all of nature.
Mhm.
So, because it's like whatever we pair our choice with, whether it be guilt or whatever, like if we need to take a nap and we're like, oh, I should be doing this. Now you've really just taken away your choice with guilt and beating
Mhm.
yourself up, and you've kind of now added that extra layer. It's like, no, I'm gonna go take a nap. And I know by me taking a nap, it's gonna give me extra time and energy to actually do the thing I need to do well.
Mhm.
So it's just being conscious of what you're pairing your choice with. And when the guilt shows up, just like you practiced, having that conversation, whether it's out loud or even in your head. But I would invite you to keep doing it out loud, to keep interrupting your brain. So the guilt, because you said it's less, like there's less than there used to be.
Mhm.
So it's telling me you've already started to shift like the neural pathways and you started to rewire your brain through some of this work already,
Mhm.
which is really freaking cool.
Mhm. No, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, that's
Which I'm like,
awesome.
okay, I mean, it's really just been like a month and a half, but I guess just like spending time with you talking it through and then also like reflecting on it
Mhm.
in between, um, has definitely helped to like shift my view.
Yeah, and
And
I'm
then, like, yeah, I don't wanna grow up or grow up. I don't wanna keep going and be, like, 80 and then be like, "Oh, okay, well, now I actually have, like, a little bit of time, like, downtime," like, a little bit of time to, like, enjoy my life. Like, I wanna enjoy my life now.
yeah, and I hear you saying by you doing that, you're also giving your kids permission to do that. Not
Mhm.
maybe not consciously, but you are. And the big part that I wanna amplify that you just said is talking through it is very supportive because it's helping you to see it. And then by you being aware of it in between our time together, expanding it more. It's amplifying what we're focused on in our time together here. Like you're taking your own hand and you're like, okay, I got you. We're going to keep just noticing. We're just going to be curious and notice, where is that deep support I want? Even by like talking to Eduardo, honoring your yeses and nos. Like these are things that we've been working on. You're doing it by now speaking it out and sharing it with others.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Have you noticed any shifts with the kids, even just a little? Any of
I don't I mean, I feel like no. I guess the only shift that I would say is that they are I guess me, like, talking directly with them about me prioritizing myself. And,
Whoa.
because like, even this past weekend, I went to Lake Geneva with Eduardo,
Mhm.
and I made like, in the fall when I just was feeling really drained, and I made the commitment at that time to say, like, "Okay, once a quarter, I'm gonna take whether it's, like, a day or a weekend away from the kids to do, like, something that I wanna do, either with friends or alone or with Eduardo or whoever."
Yeah.
So I did that this weekend, and yeah, I think just me communicating with the kids, like, why I'm doing that.
Yeah.
So
What do you feel like right now? Even it's only Tuesday, I know. But what do you feel like that is creating for you by taking once a quarter, a day or two away from the kids?
that I think is just, like, absolutely necessary. I mean, it's really easy to forget, like, who you are, and honestly, in the past, I have, like, done trips in the summers, like, with Eduardo and I usually like to go out west because that's my favorite place to be, but, usually when we would go, it would take me, like, 2 days to, like, kind of, like,
Yeah.
feel like I've, like, decompressed and I'm, like, in the
Mhm.
moment,
Yeah.
um
Ooh.
but this time when we went, I mean, even, like, by the time we got up there within, like, an hour, I would say, like, I felt like it was yeah, like, I just felt more present, I guess, and less
Holy crap.
concerned with the things at home. Because I mean, I had done a lot of prep work to make sure everything was covered, so it's like everything was good, you know?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, to me, it's important, and I, like, sometimes lose sight of that.
Yeah. So you said within an hour you were able to be more present within the past. Before you said in the past it would take you maybe 2 days.
Mhm.
So like that's really huge that you were able to fully receive everything of just being down and away from the kids. And what I heard you say was remembering who you are outside of being a mother
Mhm.
and practicing remembering who you are.
Mhm.
That's really cool.
Mhm. No, yeah, and I think for me that's huge because
Yeah.
that's just, like, been a I've just been, like, stuck kind of in that mode for a long time.
Yeah. And look at you did that before we started working together. You did that last fall when you were super burnt out and you're like, every quarter, I'm getting away. Even if it's only one day, I'm getting away. And I'm
Mhm.
while you were away, did you still do the Muse method 3 times a day?
Mhm.
Sweet.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Look at through you honoring you, you're feeling good. You're communicating to your kids and to Eduardo about what it is you're working on. Um, and you're remembering who you are. I hear you're more confident in like this way.
Mhm.
And you're continuing to create time for you to whether it's read, get out for walks and not just do it at the track, like getting outside in nature.
Mhm.
So you're valuing yourself.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think I felt good. I think another, like, layer that has helped me feel better is that I am still, like, open to pursuing, like, more in-depth connections with people that are around me, but I've also been letting go of the people or, like,
Ooh,
making the effort into the relationships that I feel like are not, like, healthy or, like, that I feel like are just kinda like, sometimes you have, like, friendships that you just, like, kinda, like, maintain because 'cause you've had them.
yeah.
Um, and I've just been, yeah, I guess letting go of those.
Hmm. Are you noticing anything and letting go of some of the relationships that aren't what you truly want, that aren't meeting all of
I think
you?
that's contributed to me feeling better, to be honest, yeah.
Ooh, cool. You're
Mhm,
creating more space for you and
mhm,
more deep intimacy that you want more of,
mhm,
letting go.
mhm.
I'm celebrating with you.
Oh, yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, and I would agree.
Mhm,
Hopefully has attributed to you feeling really good because you're not putting out other energy for these people that aren't there's not the same reciprocity.
mhm, yeah. Well, my youngest daughter has been, like, struggling with, like, finding connection and, like, friendships and stuff like that, and she just asked me the other day, like, "Oh, do you think it's, like, better to have, like, a lot of friends or a few friends or, like, a few close friends?" So we had this conversation about it, but yeah, it just helped me reflect on it. I mean, to
Mm,
me, really, like, a few really good friendships are, like, fulfilling enough versus, like, a ton of friends where I mean, you just, like, can't give that much to that many people.
you don't have capacity to because if you're giving a little bit to 20 people
Mhm,
versus a little bit to 5 people, it's like you could actually give a lot more to those 5 people really well and give all of you versus trying to divvy it all up amongst 20.
mhm,
I like to say my circle got like a lowercase o. I'd rather
mhm.
lowercase o. I'll send you a song that, like, speaks into it, you can play it for. It's called Energy Budget. I'll send it to you after we get off.
Okay,
You'll appreciate it just because it's more probably of her genre, and she might be like, "Ooh, this is good," and it will
okay.
help her to just discern where to put her energy. I mean, if she could learn that at her age, save her a lot of hassle that we're just figuring out at our age, you know?
Mhm. I know, it's so true.
And that's why you're a teacher for her. By you being honest and clear with her, that's helping her so that she can not have to go through the same struggle that you've had to.
Mhm.
I don't know about you, but did anybody really show you that when you were growing up?
Yeah, I don't think I ever, like, directly talked to anybody about that, and I think, like, different people value friendships in a different way. So, like,
Yeah.
I guess you just see those around you, but I feel like society as a whole values, like, like, if you're popular and, like, you have, like, a ton of friendships, then you have more value.
Mm.
Um So I guess that was, yeah, when I was communicating with her, I was just saying, like, I mean, really finding like a few, like a handful of people who really get you that you can totally like just be your genuine self with is the most important.
Yeah. Wow. So was there, and I just want to acknowledge you sharing what you're learning through your experience with her. Like that's really huge as a mom. Like just so that I think this next generation is going to be so much wiser than we were. 'Cause we did.
Mhm.
Was
Mhm.
there anything specific that you wanted to work through together today?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, no. Like everything's been,
Been feeling good.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you, asking? Because when you're making choices like going away this weekend, you talked to the kids and you shared how important it is for you to prioritize you.
Mhm.
How are your choices a blessing to everyone involved, including you? And if you noticed it happening, like just by you honoring you, did you notice how that blessed everyone involved?
Well, when I leave, the kids I've had the same, like, sitter that does, like, overnights for me, who's, like, in her mid to late 20s, and the kids, like, absolutely love her. So I never feel guilty when I leave because
Yeah.
they are, like, so excited for her to come over. And I mean, like, when we have, like, birthday get-togethers that we invite her, she is, like, a big part of our family. So, um I feel like when I leave, it's like I feel guilt about leaving a lot, and that's why maybe I like that's one of the reasons why I don't do it
Mhm.
often, but when I go, it's not like they're like, "Mom, like, come home, like, we hate the babysitter." Like, we're so unhappy, and I mean, they were sending videos to me of them doing which I haven't seen, but I guess, like, some tortilla challenge where you, like, smack each other with tortillas and see if somebody laughs, but I was like, "Okay," I mean, they're having so much fun, so, like, I don't need to feel guilty about being gone.
Yeah. So it is blessing them because they love and they're having so much fun with her. And it's
Mhm,
blessing you by being away and remembering who you are.
mhm.
If you were to name, because you've named it a few times today with the guilt, how that shows up in you, how might you describe it if you could?
I guess, like, physically, the way I would feel it is, like, in my body's just, like, more tense and, like, my stomach is, like, upset.
Okay. So you're more tense and stomach's upset. So
Yeah.
when you're more tense and your stomach's upset, like what's happening? Like what if you could just like you're saying you're more tense, so you're kind of like on guard, right? Is what I'm hearing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then your stomach is all upset.
Mhm.
And what is when you're feeling that way, what do you know? Like, are you able to like fully be present in life? Are you able to like what does that do for you when you're in that space of guilt and the tension in the stomach or the messiness in the stomach?
Um, no, I mean, I definitely think it impacts my ability to be, like, fully present because I guess usually when I'm in that mode, I'm, like, focused on I don't know, like, I'm just focused on what's, like, going on or what, like, I should be doing.
Mm,
So like, when we were going to Lake Geneva Friday afternoon and the kids were gonna be getting home, then I was feeling stressed because I was like, "Oh, the kids are gonna be getting home," and, I just wanna, like, make sure that all goes smoothly, and so then, yeah, I'm not, like, sitting there present in the moment, and I'm, like, focused on the other like, what's going on that I'm not there for.
yeah. So you're focused on like what you should be doing, is what I hear.
Mhm.
So it sounds like you're standing in a big pile of should,
Mhm.
and your stomach's literally upset. Like it's like
Mhm.
kind of like feeling sick to your stomach
Mhm.
and you're tense. So like you're not able to fully breathe, maybe. I don't know if that's true, but you're tense. At least your
Mhm.
body's tensed. Um, and if your stomach's upset, I look at our stomach as our second brain. It could be actually considered your first brain. So when your stomach is upset, it's information that you're not fully here because it's like it's almost like at battle with the moment. Does
Mhm.
that resonate?
Totally, yeah, and I have, like, struggled with, like, stomach problems for
Mm,
most of my life, and,
interesting.
yeah, and I definitely think it's, like, stress related, but it's really just been diagnosed as IBS because it's like, "Well, we don't know what's wrong with you," but and my middle son also has that, which is, um I guess, like, made me more aware of it and, like, the stress, like, component of, like, stomach upset, and also he's just, like, really I guess I just didn't recognize it so much because he's, like, really outgoing and really, like, oh, he's, like, the funny
Mhm.
guy, and but I think he, like, buries a lot of his, like, worry, and so it
Yeah.
was presenting itself, like, in that same way,
Yeah.
and I think, yeah, because I, like, suppress a lot of my stress, then it's gotta
Yeah.
come out some way, right? So, I mean, yeah,
Right.
it's affecting my physical well-being.
Right. So what I'm hearing, because of like the label they gave you of IBS, not being able to fully digest life with ease.
Mhm.
And that sense of like, okay, I got to control this. I better be on guard. I should be doing all of these things and like burying yourself kind of in the process.
Mhm.
So, what if the guilt is actually here for you?
Mhm.
So, I'm curious, were you doing something wrong? Because guilt is here for us, but were you doing something wrong in the moment?
No.
Okay, so you weren't doing anything wrong.
Mm-mm.
So guilt becomes a useless emotion when we act as if we're doing something wrong because guilt is here to tell us that we've done something wrong and we need to repair that. But when we actually haven't done something wrong, and like I ask myself frequently, like when the guilt shows up, did I do something wrong? Nope. I am sitting in the discomfort of choosing me. Cool. I'm going to sit in the discomfort of choosing me. Like, and really getting clear is, am I uncomfortable right now because I'm honoring what I need and I'm not doing what I should be doing by society or whatever, whoever standards I'm going by? I don't even know who they are at this point.
Mhm.
And like really do that gut check because the guilt, I believe, and you can correct me, what if it's actually here to breathe some new life into you and to help you to honor you and to come back home to this moment and be like, oh, I feel that discomfort. I'm going to be here.
Mhm.
Where can I breathe and expand more?
Mhm. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. I mean, I did think about the guilt because in one of our earlier sessions, you had mentioned that too. Like, yeah, the guilt,
That I
if you
had.
have a feeling of guilt, but you're not doing anything wrong, then like I mean, the guilt doesn't necessarily need to be there. Um, and I think that for me is just like I don't know, it's just like an unrealistic standard that I've put on myself that like every moment of my being has to be about being a mother or otherwise I'm not doing my job. And it's like, okay, well, they're not two anymore. They don't need me to like watch
Right.
them every second, And I don't know if it's just because I had so many for so long that I was like just used to like operating in this place of like I have to be like present with them all the time because it's like,
Right.
yeah, they don't need that level of care anymore, I mean, they need a different kind of care, but yeah, they, like, don't need me to physically be there watching over them every minute.
So are you willing to let go of that unrealistic standard of your kids need you at a different capacity now?
Mhm.
They don't need you every moment of every day, making sure that they're okay.
Mhm.
Are you willing to start to allow yourself to evolve as your kids have been evolving to find this new way of who you are now as a mom, recognizing when the guilt shows up, just noticing it. And that's kind of like your check engine light. When you feel your stomach's upset and your body feels tense, ooh, I'm gonna do the muse method. So maybe we do that now because I'm gonna give you a practice to start to move the guilt, which could be considered an air emotion.
Mhm.
It's here. What is happening naturally? So let's just feel that experience. So like your body tenses up. So kind of get in a tensed up position.
Mhm.
Feel that tension a little bit in your body. You can close your eyes just to be in it. You might even start to feel it in your stomach, that little bit of tension. And now what would be the opposite of this? If you were to move into the opposite of this tension, what would that be? What would that look like?
Yeah, being, like, wide open.
Okay, do that now. Let's see what that feels like. What do you notice now being wide open?
My body feels softer. More relaxed.
Softer and more relaxed. So let's pendulate between the two, going back and forth. So go back to the tension,
Mhm.
and then when you're ready, go back to the softness, the openness, more relaxed. So if you want to keep going back and forth for a little bit, just to feel it, to really feel like, oh, that's not it. When you're in the tension, that tightness, the stomach upset, oh, softness, or more relaxed. What are you noticing as you go between both of these?
I think the biggest thing I notice is just how vastly different they feel.
Yeah.
'Cause, like, yes, of course, like, I understand, like, the idea of it, like, yeah, your body's more tense like this or it's more relaxed like this, but going back and forth, I think just really, like, helps to realize, like, how vastly different your body feels in both of those positions.
Yeah. And it's not wrong, Sarah. Like what your body does when you feel guilty, it's your body's way of like it's a check engine light, I like to say. It's like, "Oh, there I've gone. I've literally blocked the flow of life. I'm not receiving as much air. I'm not digesting life, and I blocked what I really want." Oh, cool. And let's be real. It was a way to protect you, but it may not be working anymore. So yeah,
Mhm.
our bodies are wise beyond measure, but they also our brains are programmed to go to what's safe and what is known and familiar. So it's going to keep going back to what it can protect and replicate. So that's what it's going to do. It's not wrong. But when you
Mhm.
notice the check engine light of the guilt showing up, the tension in your body, the upset stomach, okay, so we're going to do it real quick so we can experiment with it so you can have a real experience of it and just see what you notice. Is the tension, are you feeling it? Because we were just playing with it a little bit. Are you feeling it even just a little bit or maybe
Mhm.
okay, so let's even just thinking back about this weekend about like when you were trying to get home and that guilt that was there for just a moment, just kind of going back in your mind's eye about it. And we're going to do the muse method to be with the guilt, not make the guilt wrong, not fix the guilt. We're just going to be with it.
Mhm.
Bring your hands to wherever would be supportive to meet that guilt. So maybe it's on your belly, maybe it's somewhere else. Bring your hands to wherever that would be. And now close your eyes, deepen your breath, and let it go as far deep and wide as feels right. And now really sink in. Let your hands move around until they just sink into you. And now connect and expand with all that's here. And I'll walk you back in about a minute, but we're going to move into a practice as we're coming back. So stay here, stay connected and plugged in. I'm going to ask a question and then we're going to do a little movement. So, how might you be losing yourself in order to stay connected and pleasing to others? How might you be losing yourself?
I think it's just because I don't, like, give myself any time or, like, energy to recognize the things that I want, and I just focus on the things that the other people want, and, I mean, when you do that, like, continually for, like, years and years and years, you just, like, lose sight of, like, what it is that you even want.
Mhm. So you in those moments you lose sight of what you want and you put everybody else above you is kind of what I heard.
Mhm.
So now, and we're going to do this physically also with our body and let your body lead. So in what spaces, and you get to answer this too, so you can keep your eyes closed just so your awareness can be in your body. So in what spaces can you breathe and expand more? And then you might do that first with your body and just notice. You can keep your hands connected or move the hands off and open up into whatever way feels good. And then in what spaces or places can you breathe and expand more in your life?
In my life, it's breathing more into myself, which I feel like I'm like kind of like breaking a wall down a little bit for myself. Like I
Yeah.
keep chipping away at it each week where I'm giving myself more, and I think also like even though I'm letting some of the relationships go or just not like emotionally investing as much in them, I
Mhm.
do have some really solid relationships and like connections in my life, and pouring more into those,
Mm.
instead of, I mean, I still am like feeling like open and curious for new relationships and connections or deepening connections with people that are already in my life, but I know I can also like pour more deeply into some of those like
Mhm.
solid friendships that I already have.
Yeah. So is there any actions that you could take to support that? And you might have already named it.
Any actions I could do to support that? I mean, for myself, I think it's just like the continued like making the time for myself
Mhm.
and having that battle with my mind when I wanna feel guilty about it, um, in the hopes that, like, I'm gonna get to a space where I don't even have those, like, guilty thoughts anymore.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and, like, allowing myself more time, I think, to connect with the friendships that I do value and that I feel are solid.
Mhm.
Um, and I have recognized that I think, like, it is important for, I mean, it's always been important, but I think especially now I'm realizing how important it is to make this change because, I mean, the kids really are gonna be gone, like, in a short while, and I don't wanna be one of those moms that's left, like, feeling completely lost and, like, down, like, "Oh, I have, like, totally lost myself, and I have no idea wwho I am anymore," and kinda,
Yeah.
like, trying to dig yourself out of that.
Yeah. Awesome. Would you be willing to continue to honor this wisdom that came through of making time for yourself a priority, having that conversation with your brain to be curious and to let it know you're doing it in a new way because that
Mhm.
old way didn't work, and then connecting with the relationships that you value and where
Mhm.
that feels solid.
Mhm.
And then when the guilt shows up, would you be willing to practice this air, like be with the air motion, do the muse method like we practiced? And then when you're, because your body wants to do this, oh yeah, you're here to breathe new life into me. Okay. And even asking, where can I breathe and expand more? And go do that. Go be that, go wherever that is. Like if your body's like, I need to get outside, go take a walk outside.
Mhm.
Honor what your body is telling you because the guilt is here because it, in a sense, it's keeping you stuck and safe and familiar,
Mhm.
which we both know has not supported you any or is not supporting you anymore. We're not going to make it
Mhm.
wrong. We're just going to say, oh, there you are again. I love you. Yep, we're doing it a new way, brain. I'm not doing
Mhm.
anything wrong. Just stay curious. Stay curious. Because you're giving your brain something to focus on rather than I should be doing this. Oh, blah, 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 all the stories and the
Mhm.
that really unrealistic standard that you've that you're setting down. This is part of like
Mhm.
you're setting down of like your relationships in your life. This is one of those relationships you're actually setting down.
Mhm.
You're like, oh, I love you. Yep, we're not going to have those unrealistic standards anymore because I don't need to. Kids are grown. They're good.
Yeah.
Now it's about me
Yeah.
recognizing
No.
what I want.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and recognizing what I want, I feel like getting comfortable with prioritizing myself, you know, not all the time, but like more so that I get to a place where, yeah, that is more comfortable. And when the last one graduates, I'm not just like, yeah, left with like a shell of myself.
Yeah. And Sarah, I just want to acknowledge you for like having a knowing of what is to come because you're launching your baby birds. At some point, they'll launch. Um,
Mhm.
but if you prepare your nest, you can launch your baby birds and be like, and I'm good because I've fortified my nest so that I can be here and I know what I want and what I need. And I'm going to focus
Mhm.
on those things.
Mhm. And I think, yeah, for me, it's like a balance because I have truly like given of myself for 25 years or 26 years to raising the kids and giving them my all. And I know I will be really sad when, they're all grown. But I think because I have given so much, a part of me too, like a large part of me is like, yeah, I'm actually
Mhm.
really looking forward to when they are all grown. And I can totally just be like, yeah, I want to do what I want to do. Like I have like hopes and dreams and thoughts of like what I want to do. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I I am looking forward to it. I know I'll be sad, but I'm looking forward to it also, and I don't wanna just, like, rush through the next, like, 8 years until they are all grown. I wanna, like, appreciate it, and I think I can appreciate it more by making time for myself in addition to prioritizing them. Because then it's like, I'm not just like, "Okay, I gotta, like, get this job done, 8 years to go, I gotta get it done, and then I'll have time for myself." I'd like to incorporate the time for myself in it so that I can appreciate the journey with them and still, like, appreciate myself.
Yeah. And Sarah, you got enough evidence of doing it that other way of
Mhm,
when they get out of the house, then I'll enjoy life. Nope,
mhm,
doing it now. And have more appreciation to enjoy the journey rather than at some day that may never come.
mhm.
And I say that because we know tomorrow may not is not guaranteed. So
100%, yeah, and that's what I always think. I'm like, yeah, I mean, if I keep postponing everything I like to do, I mean, who knows in 8 years, like, what my physical, like, I
mhm,
just don't know, like, where I'll be at, I mean, hopefully, I'll be great, but I don't know.
exactly. Well, and I might invite you to just keep noticing as you're staying more connected to yourself, if you notice that you're having less stomach stuff showing up, less stomach problems, because maybe you're
Mhm,
able to find more ease. Just start to notice.
mhm,
Because I had a sense when you were sharing that some of this guilt, and you've mentioned it, is, not having a traditional family with, a husband, like two parents. It's a single household, and you're having to wear both hats. So
mhm,
recognizing, nope, this is, and just meeting yourself in those moments because that guilt is just it was burying you in that process.
mhm,
So if it shows up, just noticing it, just like we practice here, do the muse method, be with it so that you can just say, oh, I feel you. I feel the tension in my body. I feel the upset stomach. I'm going to be with you and I'm not going to fix you. I'm not going to change you. I'm just going to be with you. And then I'm going to breathe some new life in and say, where can I go? Where can I breathe and expand? What are you inviting me to choose? Like really ask the emotion that's here. What are you inviting me to choose? I need to prioritize me right now. Okay, cool. I'm going to go do that.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, that's like a totally different way of
Yeah.
of managing it, which I want to do, so, yeah, I've always just buried it, and
Right.
said like, "Okay, like, at this yeah, I just gotta, like, move forward," but I haven't really, I guess, allowed myself to recognize it and allowed it to
and what did that do? When you buried it without recognizing it, what did that create for you? Because it created something. I'm not saying it's what you wanted, but it created something.
I think it just felt like, oh, this is like the way to get rid of it. But really, then it's always just kind of like buried there waiting to come back out. Like it's not really gone. You're just kind of like putting a band aid on it.
Well, and what if by you trying to get rid of the guilt that's been showing up, your stomach just kept getting louder and louder through the IBS because it's like, well, fine, I'm just gonna get freaking loud because she's not listening. She keeps trying to bury this shit, literally. And
Hmm.
I'm just gonna get louder because this is the only way she listens. Thank you, body. I'm listening.
Hmm. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, and rather than stuffing it and burying it, now I'm inviting you to actually move with it. Not deny it. Say, yep, I hear you. I feel you. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here with you.
Hmm.
And moving it. Because that's energy in motion, emotion. Emotions are meant to move through us. When we
Hmm.
bury them, they tend to show up as different things in our body because they're not moving, they're being buried.
Hmm.
Stuck energy, it has to do something and go somewhere, and it does typically in a way we don't want it to.
Yeah.
And you said you were trying to get rid of it before, but did you really get rid of it or did it just come back louder?
Right. No, that's so true. Yeah. I mean, if it exists and you just bury it into your body, then it's got to come out some way. So, yeah, I like the visual of, yeah, moving it through your body.
And just see what happens as you practice this. Just notice,
Mhm.
does my body have more ease? Even if it's just a little bit. Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, let's keep listening.
Mhm.
Because that's how we're working on is the 1 degree shifts, just the small micro shifts. And if it's even just a little bit easier, just like you said this week, cool. What else might be
Mhm.
possible? And just stay open
Mhm.
to the possibilities rather than like what you had mentioned before, being prepared. I'm gonna
Yeah.
just what else might be possible?
Yeah. No, that's true.
You really
Well, when we were in Lake Geneva on Friday night, we ended up going to this like really small show, but it was like a, a mentalist, but like this man also does like tarot card reading and stuff like that. I'm not sure if you believe in that stuff, but I'm always like, that's like we can go, like that's fine. But I was really interesting because he had people like take an object out of their like pocket and put it in a bag, and he was going to try to guess whose object like belonged to who. And for mine, and he was going to give a description about each person. And so for mine, he said this person spreads themselves too thin and really needs to start working on prioritizing themselves and has been like lately working towards that. And I was
whoa.
like, wow. Okay, there's no way and like each thing he said about each person was very specific. Like this person's going on like a spiritual journey and they've really like and this person's like in recovery from like something really traumatic. So I mean, everything was like really specific, and I was like, oh my gosh, wow, that was crazy. Yeah. I was like, I
Well,
mean, I can't tell you, like, I've had like countless conversations about that recently about like, yeah, I need to prioritize myself. And
yep.
I just was, yeah, it was crazy that was what came to him about me.
Are you willing to keep being in the unknown and experiencing the great mystery?
Mm-hmm.
Just can't make up, but you're like, how is this even possible? What else
Mm-hmm.
is possible?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because before you were operating this way, Sarah, with blinders on, what was known, safe, and comfortable. You're like, okay, that's not working. We're gonna let those go. What
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
else is possible? Literally,
Yeah.
you experienced that this weekend by saying yes to you and getting away.
Yeah. No, it's true. And I don't know if like I don't listen to Pink Floyd much anymore, but I did back in the day, but that song Time. And one of the lines, which I always like really stuck with me, is that like it's like cold comfort to change. Like most people choose like cold comfort because comfort is, yeah, you're just like more used to it, even though, I mean, I like that adjective that it's cold, right? It's really not, it might feel comfortable, but it's like, it's not like warm and inviting, right? And it's like, but it's easier because it's what we're used to, versus like change, which can be scary and
Yeah.
it's just really unfamiliar. So I think it can cause like more, yeah, anxiety.
Or what if the anxiety is there to be an invitation to step into the unknown?
Mm-hmm.
Just a fear because it's not known yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just said most people would rather choose the cold comfort than the
Mm-hmm.
warm, inviting unknown. I agree. And now you're choosing more of the unknown, which it can't be scary because it's not known. It's like a baby learning to walk. It falls down a bunch in the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, okay, I don't want to go on the cold comfort path anymore. I want to go into the warm, inviting path. Well, cool. Let's start exploring it. Let's keep
Mm-hmm.
exploring it, actually. Let's keep because we already are.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it's the more you walk into the unknown, I think you're going to be more and more surprised by life. And
Mm-hmm.
what, from the sense of what I'm getting, is you're going to have more of what you desire in life, but it's beyond what you can control.
Mm-hmm.
It's trusting
Mm-hmm.
and co-creating, honestly, because you're
Mm-hmm.
asking for it and then you're starting to look for it. You're like, I want more deep intimacy in my life, and now you're looking for it, and oh my God, it's there's more of it there. Hmm. Rather than
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting this, and then that's what your brain is looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just redirecting your focus to what it is you do want and bringing more awareness and attention to it to amplify it.
Yeah.
And that's why, I think that's amazing that you had that experience this weekend, just to recognize that somebody that didn't even know you could see that deeply into you of how you used to be, and even recognize that you're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's shifting.
Yeah.
I love that you brought that song in. So if there's ever songs that are speaking to you when you're doing the Muse method, that might be information. If songs are ones that speak to you, pay attention,
Okay.
because it might be how your muse, your unique self-expression, like gets your attention.
Mm-hmm.
So just
Okay. That's good to think about. Yeah, because I definitely love, I mean, I'm a big music person.
yeah, so how, because it's different for everybody. I have more like knowings. Maybe yours is more through songs, and like there might be just a lyric that's speaking to you in a moment when you're doing connection or when you're breathing life into yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Just notice it and be like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Message do you have for me in that? And just look for what it might be as you hold that lyric, and just start to notice where it might be showing up elsewhere in your life.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what are you taking away from our time together today?
Um, I think just to continue with the changes that I've made and work on expanding those even more and allowing myself to get comfortable with the changes that I've made and recognizing that like when I don't need to be like waiting for kind of like the harder days to happen. I mean, not every day will be its best, but also I feel like more prepared to manage um
Mm.
when that happens. Um and I like the idea of, yeah, of like connecting the music to the Muse method and just like, yeah, my my like periods of like reflection and stuff because yeah, I mean, I definitely feel really connected to music.
Yeah. And if it like shows up, just take note of it. Like you can always just kind of note different like senses. Like what are you noticing in your body? What are you hearing? What are you smelling? Like any sensory experience, any visualizations, any songs that speak to you, you can always just take note of it just to because there might be a message in there. And just by you noticing it and acknowledging it, you're opening up the door for more information to arrive.
Mhm.
Because she's probably I'm guessing your muse is speaking to you through the music because it speaks so deeply to your soul, and that's maybe where the way she wants to speak through you.
Mhm.
So that's
Okay.
beautiful. And even like how you whatever we put our attention on grows. So if you continue to focus on waiting for the harder days to happen, you might get more harder days rather than I'm going to keep my awareness around where can I find more ease? Where can
Mhm.
I find more deep intimacy? Where show me where this exists. And even on those hard days, you can still seek and find some of the ease, even if it's just getting outside for a walk, whatever that is.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. And
Continuing.
I'm definitely gonna, yeah, use the method of, when I feel anxious about something, kind of like allowing that to move through my body and opening
Cool.
myself up. Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, and let me know what you notice when you do it. Because I want to just mention this because I know there is a little perfectionism that we're working through. So when you notice it and you do it, awesome. Notice what happens on the other side of it. When you don't notice it and you don't do anything and you shove it down and bury it like you have in the past, cool. What happened? It's not wrong
Mhm.
because that's what you've learned how to do. So you're doing something new. So even if you only notice it 1 out of 5 times, whoop! I noticed it 1 out of 5 times. That's amazing. Then next time
Mhm.
it's 2 out of 5 times. Next time it's 3 out of 5 times. You're increasing it. So
Mhm.
just when you do it, notice what shifts on the other side of it or what happens. And then if you
Okay.
don't, what happens? Not wrong. You're just in a practice of not making yourself wrong for whatever you're choosing in the moment.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
awesome. I'll
Yeah.
follow up with notes in the recording, and then hopefully you should have everything going forward because I sent all the other notes
Yep.
from. All right,
Yeah.
are we on for next week?
And yeah, next week
That's
is
when the
good.
kids have when is their spring break? So the
So
11th.
then, yeah, the week of, so on the March 25th, I will be gone.
Okay, awesome. I think I'm gone that week too, so that works out beautifully.
Oh, good.
Are you
Okay.
going somewhere beautiful?
I'm taking the kids to visit my parents in Florida. So, I mean, it's, yeah, just to go somewhere where like the grass is green and like plants are alive is
Yes.
going to be amazing.
Yeah. Okay. I'll
What about
remove that
you?
one. Huh.
What about you? Are you going somewhere
I'm going to
warm?
California.
Okay.
Yeah. So somewhere
Okay.
warmer. It will be beautiful, I believe, in Ojai. Yeah, I'm doing some training out there in addition to seeing friends.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Sounds good.
All right. I will see you next week, the 11th, I believe, at 1:30, and then I will remove from the calendar the week of the 25th, just so that obviously we're off
Okay.
that, but I'll just get it off the calendar. So you
Yeah.
bet.
Okay.
All
All right.
right.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You, bye, Sarah.
Bye.